There we go. We're recording again. For those of you that are watching the recording, this is part 2. I accidentally shut off the recording during the middle of the show. As my screen goes blank, I have to click, to make it come back on. Yeah, we were just doing some Stones. I think that's a lot easier to play with a capo, though, isn't it? You got to do that quick change. Yeah. Can you see my capo? Yeah, my microphone's kind of in the way. Let's do it like this. You can see my hands a little better. Much easier than without a capo. Let's turn the bump on here, make it a little nasty. In standard tuning. I should be doing this in open G, but it works. He's got the words. In a crossfire hurricane, while I was riding with a strap right across my back. But it's alright. Now, in fact, it's a gas. I said, Jack Flash, so gas, 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 one time. It works, huh? Good 6L6 sound out of the same box. It sounds like a modern crunch rock and roll thing at the same time. There you go. What other ones are there? Do the same thing. So yeah. So back to your question, McSex Stooges 5. One of the things I started realizing, when I first made a few amps, I copied some stuff just for fun. Oh, I want a deluxe, or I want a plexi. And the copies don't do it the same way. It's a good question, Chell. I'll get to that too in a second. Because the components are all different. The circuit's part of it, but the tubes are different today. The caps are different. The resistors are different. Everything. Transformers are very different. Speakers are different. Cabinets are different. So just by copying something directly, I wasn't having a lot of satisfaction. I made good sounding amps. Oh, that's really cool. It sounds nice, but it doesn't have that same, that thing I was just doing there, like this thing, I wasn't getting that. It didn't sound. But what I started to gradually learn years and years ago, like 20 years ago, is that you can get some of those behaviors. You just got to kind of do things a little differently. So, over experience and trial and error and getting electrocuted and burned and frustrated a lot, I kind of came to the conclusion that if you design with the same goals that the original designers did, which was to maximize the components that they had, you end up getting a similar behavior, even though the circuit can be different and the components can be different. But back then, electricity was 112, 113 volts out of the wall. Now it's 10 volts higher than that. So the old amps that you play today, they don't sound like they did when they were new because all the voltages are different inside. They were also designing around the tubes that they had then. So using a vintage circuit that was designed for old RCAs or for old Mullards isn't really going to be the same, right? I mean, logically. It'll be good. It won't be bad. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's not going to be the same as an old amp. So if we go about designing with the purpose of designing for today's tubes, which is the only choice we really have right now, unless someone starts to make a tube factory, which might happen in the future. So you're just thinking about it logically. So the only thing I'm doing different is I'm designing for what I got. And there's actually some really good behaviors in here. It just took a while to find it. You got to kind of wash off all the assumptions in the past. And then when you get these things working, how they are comfortable working, just like they used to back in the 50s and 60s, you start getting really good behavior. The mistake, the logical mistake that I was making was that, well, if I make a AC30 circuit, it should sound just like an AC30, and it never does. Because you can't get WEMA caps anymore. I can't get Mullard EL84s anymore. I can't get Mullard ECC83s anymore. The Celestion speakers that I get today are excellent. I love them. They're different than what Vox used back then. We're using reissues made on new equipment, So the speakers are really close, but they're different. So that was sort of my long answer to your short question there, McSex Stooges 5. King Darko brings up a good point here. There's also the difference between tolerances on components, which I use 1% tolerance, except for the... Hey, Josh. Except for the tone path, I use Allen Bradley carbon comps, but everything else outside of that is 1% mil-spec stuff. Also, the guys that were building back then, they were building with mostly World War II surplus stuff, which was really high quality compared to what you get from China. So we don't really use any Chinese components in here because what are entry-level components these days would have been considered trash back then. You know, radio spares transformers were standard in a lot of Vox stuff and Marshall stuff in there when they first started, and those were expensive. Now, but back then, you know, radio spares was where at the catalog store you went and ordered something if your radio blew up. It's like Radio Shack. And now radio spares transformer is considered to be luxurious, because a lot of our designs are radio spares design. People go, "Oh my God, you're just highfalutin, aren't you, using that radio spares stuff?" And I'm like, no, man, they sound good. But yeah, Mercury's making us some radio spares design stuff. So Chell had a good question here. At what point do you lose tone on the master volume? It's really up to the speakers that you have. At a certain point, you're not putting much electricity into the speakers, so they'll get a little dark. This particular cabinet, run the voltage here down around 3. So this is like a 7 or 8 watt amp out. You're going to hear my pick more than you're going to hear the... So I can still go over here and get some good crunch. Still sounds good to me. I mean, it's quiet. Let's go down to 2. I mean, we're getting down in the lower operating range of the tube, so it's just not going to sound the same. But see if I get some clean sound. Can you even hear that over this mic? So I'm going to bring the volume back up, full voltage. Yeah, we went through the petty thing last week, didn't we? Let's see here. Hey, Dan, from earlier. Did you find Voice 1 punchier or cleaner on the producer versus the... you know, they're just different. The different tubes act different. I think the EL34s are a little snappier, just by the nature of their design. I'm going to lean back here because I'm having some back issues. I think that the EL34s have a different vibe to them. So, but yeah. I've got a feeling deep inside, oh yeah. You got me believing. Oh, I gotta fix this screensaver. That's what's killing me here. I have not read Don Felder's interview in Premier Guitar. I heard about it. Don's a good customer of ours and a good friend, a very nice guy. Play some Glenn Campbell. I used to know how to play Rhinestone Cowboy, now I can't remember it. Down, 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 down. I can't. Next week I'll do that. That's a good idea. I love Glenn Campbell, by the way. Rhinestone Cowboy and Wichita Lineman. Wichita Lineman is, I think, arguably like one of the top 20 songs ever written. That's so good. And Glenn didn't write it, but he sure played the life out of it. Who's the guy that wrote Wichita Lineman? I can't remember the songwriter's name. He wrote a bunch of stuff. Hey, Master Sonics. What's up, Charles? You guys probably noticing all the big bags under my eyes. My poor wife really injured herself Monday. And I've been helping her ever since. She can't walk. She sees big bags under my eyes and me constantly forgetting what in the hell I'm talking about. That's what it is, baby. Jimmy Webb. Thank you, Sammy. Thank you very much. That's exactly right. I did watch the Glenn Campbell show a lot when I was a kid, and he was always an impressive guitar player. I have this thing recorded at home that's the TNT Tammy show in 1964. Chuck Berry opens the show, and then Dave Clark 5 is on there, Marvin Gaye, Aretha Franklin, the Supremes, they're just so young, Jan and Dean, the Beach Boys, the Rolling Stones come out at the end and close the show, you know, and they do, well, the joint was rocking, go round and round, yeah, reeling and rocking, what a crazy sound. And then in the house band takes over at the end of the song. All the bands come back out. James Brown was on there. And the house guitar player in that band was Glenn Campbell. I mean, he was a studio guy. And you can see him clear as day sitting there, and he's just ripping. I mean, and it's clean Fender stuff. You know, like he's playing a Strat through a twin reverb or something. I haven't seen the Wrecking Crew movie, though. I want to see that. And Glenn was part of the Wrecking Crew for a while, wasn't he? Because I took lessons from Tommy Tedesco when I went to MI in 86, 26 years ago. Tommy Tedesco was still around and still wearing his little Greek hat and still played his ass off. But anyway, Glenn Campbell's on there, and, you know, they're playing Chuck Berry music, and he's just like, just like ripping. I mean, it's just crazy, you know. It wasn't country at all. It was really, really good. It's amazing. There you go. Hey, Norwegian Slow-Mo. How are you, buddy? Good to see you. Welcome back. So, yeah, we covered some good Gibson sounds. We covered some good... it shows Tommy on the Gong Show in a tutu. That's hilarious. there's are some sort of typical Nashville, stereotypical Nashville sounds in there, you know. Yeah, Ustream's getting problematic the bigger the audience we get. I mean, it's only letting like 50 people log in, and I can see the stats on the dashboard, and there's usually somewhere between 300 and 2,000 people watching live. By the end of the week, I posted on about 6 different places, and when it all adds up, I get about 60,000 viewers, 50, 60,000. One of the things I always really loved about a 6L6 amp, and I think that's why they're really popular with country players, unlike a Marshall, when you play a Strat through it, it doesn't sound thin and twinky. You know, even with the Deluxe, your Strat and Tele get sounding pretty thin. But with a 6L6 amp, I'm on the bridge pickup now. Back on the neck pickup. Go to second. But then if I go over here to, you know, raunch and roll, it does not sound fat and muddy. It sounds nice and, yeah. That's because of the 2 different tone stacks in there. I suck. So tired I can't play. Look closely into my eyes. I'm exhausted. You want a longer delay time? Norwegian slow-mo, I can do that. More than that, let's go real long. Troy plays guitar. Is that my Troy? Troy Castro? Purple Haze. Do I really have to play that song? Let's see a different mode here. There's a real long one for you. You want some more repeats on there? Was that it? Is that enough? Norwegian slow-mo? There it goes. Strymon Flint. No, I don't have that yet. I really want that. I just have the El Capistan, the Blue Sky Reverb, and the Obi-Wan compressor. I want the Flint, though. I just kind of broke. Oh, it's not boring. I'm just not good at doing Hendrix. And I never really played Purple Haze because it's just kind of like everybody. It's like playing Stairway to Heaven. But I did learn it when I was a kid. I was getting mixed up because Billy Gibbons stole that riff for yeah, lots of echo. It's good. Do you test your amps with how they take pedals? Yeah, we do. We just have a basic set of pedals we use here just to make sure. You know, booster, an echo, reverb, a chorus, you know, all that sort of stuff. All pedals seem to work really, really well with our gear, except for one company's. That's the TC Electronics. Don't like our effects loop for some reason. We're just having a passive loop. Do I think it's my best amp so far? In certain respects, yeah. I mean, there's other ones I like for different reasons. As far as this low voltage, high current thing goes, I think it's really promising because it's 2 amps in a row now that have turned out really, really good. And the tubes are just fine. You know, they're not breaking a sweat. I mean, they're still going to age like normal tubes, but they're not going to blow up. You know? Can you pick a favorite 65 amps? No. That's like Sophie's Choice. I can't do that. What were we doing last week? We found the Drop D Tom Petty stuff. I love that. I thought that sounded really good. There's no time on this. I can get it. You just want longer? Just tell me what you want. Is that enough? Sammy Packle, yes, I do. I want to do a 4 EL84 version of this. So if I do 2 EL84s, it's going to be really quiet amp, which is great for a lot of people, but you still want to have the ability to play with a band. I don't know that any amp is sort of useful if you can't actually jam with your buddies. So if I do 4 EL84s, instead of it end up being 35 watts, it's probably going to end up being around 27, 28 watts, maybe 25 at the low voltage, high current thing. And I think that'd be really useful, especially with the master voltage on it, because you can still drop it down to being a 5 watt amp. And EL84s love the master voltage. They do really well. And I want to do a 6v6 too. Himmelstrutz pedals, just heavenly handmade in Sweden. That's cool. I know Himmel. I know the word Himmel. Gott den Himmel. FP Mike says, what about your effects loops? I have an Elvis combo and tried to use the effects return to access only the power amp speaker. A big part of our sound is our preamps. So my power amp's only going to do what you tell it to do. I'd have to see the rig. Our effects loop is also a passive loop. So you might want a buffered FET or tube driven loop to do that. We can put it in for you. We just have to charge you for it. It's like $250. The passive loop I just put in there straight. To be honest with you, I don't get a lot of guys using effects loops. I mean, the people that want them are very, very vocal about it, but they're a really small minority. And the ones who like effects loops seem to be astonished that someone else doesn't want an effects loop. But Mike, you can call me if you want. I'll talk to you about it. It's no problem. I mean, a big part of the Elvis sound is the preamp. So other than that, it's a puny little power section in that amp. It's just 2 EL84s that only put out about 12 watts, so you can kill it real easy. Third position, middle pickup. Doug Guillaume asks, can you remove an effects loop? Yeah, absolutely. Starting to fade hard. I'm tired. I'm going to stop playing now, but I'm going to stick around and talk for a minute. So, what's on your mind? What are your thoughts? Tell me what you think. Yeah, this is the El Capistan. I can put some verb on it too and really give it some space. Let's see. We'll mix it a little harder. No, Doug, the effects loop doesn't hurt the sound of the amp at all. I just don't really get a lot of benefit out of a loop. I know a lot of guys that really have strong opinions about it, but when I was playing for a living, I thought effects loops really destroyed the sound. So I always thought it weird that my guitar was dirty, but the echo wasn't. It does come in handy if you're using a lot of pedals on the front and you want to just put an echo in the loop. I could see how that works, but I mean, you know, Jeff Beck doesn't use an effects loop, and Eric Johnson doesn't use an effects loop, and The Edge doesn't use an effects loop, and Eddie Van Halen doesn't use an effects loop, so I don't know. Yeah, good night, Chell. Good night to everyone in Sweden. Good night, Moon. Good night, stars. Good night, people, wherever you are. Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to use a loop or not to use a loop. It's just personal preference. I just personally, there's no right or wrong. When I play live, though, I don't really use a lot of pedals. So I just kind of play the guitar. Turn the amp up, roll the guitar back. If I need to take solo, I roll the guitar up. And I just want to have good clean, good dirty available. I tend to get a little carried away when I play and forget to run back over and hit a pedal. You know, even if I'm on the dirtiest channel, I can still always just roll the guitar back and clean it up in time to switch to a clean channel. Oh my gosh, I'm fading hard. I'm going to go ahead and shut this guy down. The producer 6L, everybody. Yay! I think I'm happy with it. I think I'm very happy with it. Ready to sell it. We can take orders now for delivery next month. $3,600. Please, 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 please. Call your local dealer. Give them a deposit. And let's start making some of these boogers for everybody. Booga, booga, boogers. All of our independent dealers seem to be having such a hard time. You know, like the economy's really taking its toll on them. So please go out and find a local dealer of ours and spend some money with him. I know guitars and amps are kind of a luxury item, you know. That none of us really need, but we all want. But we certainly want our music stores to stick around. And I just pulled my cord. God, this drives me nuts in here. I'm so cordophobic. We want our music stores to stick around. So, you get where I'm going. You understand, don't you? Don't you, don't you, don't you? What other questions do you guys have? I had a good crowd stuck around the whole time looking at the dashboard here. There's quite a bit. I'm getting lots of Facebook notices over here on this machine as well. Let's see what we got here. Anything interesting? I have to see it at NAMM. You know what? To be honest with you, I'm thinking about not doing NAMM. I get so much traction. NAMM cost me $20,000. Can you believe that? 20 freaking grand. And the outreach that I get from Facebook and everything else, is pretty powerful. And NAMM keeps raising their prices. And we always do NAMM with Tone Pros guys, you know, Dwight Devereaux. And they are going out on their own because I got the Gibson OEM contract. So if you buy a new Gibson guitar now, it's going to have a Tone Pros bridge on it, which is an improvement. That's what I have on all my Gibsons. And, you know, they need to have their own little identity now since they're working with one of the biggest companies in the world. So that kind of even raises the price on NAMM for me. And honestly, and we got enough dealers. I think we have too many dealers, to be honest. I kind of want to start just getting dealers that stock gear instead of, because when one of you guys gets on the phone and calls and say, hey, how soon can I get a Soho? If the guy doesn't have it in stock, he puts you on hold and calls me. I know there's a lot of you guys out there who will, go through our list and call all of our dealers until you find something in stock, which I don't blame you. That's what you should do. But while you're doing that, they all call here. I get 10 guys. I can tell when it's happening. It happens every day. I'll get, the phone will ring 10 times in a row. Hey, how soon can I get a, little Elvis? Oh, I tell them, 8 or 10 weeks. That's our lead time. Okay, well, I'll call you back. And then the phone will ring 5 minutes later because you guys just called. Low voltage, Clifton Bolger says, low voltage, high current like the Mercury Magnetics Fat Stack, 300 volts, 400 milliamps, or a Haybor. That's pretty good rating. That's not what we're using. We're a little more extreme than that. We're down below 300, but that's current rating's pretty good. Yeah, Joe, I thought about maybe just getting a suite at NAMM, and having appointments over there. McSex Stooges 5 says Pro Guitar Shop was the only dealer I could find that had one in stock. Yeah, I mean, these guys are all hurting. That's kind of why we started doing the Musician's Friend stuff. Because people want to play these amps, before they buy them. And, Oh, I got a message here from Troy. Hey, Troy. I'm not sure. I'm not sure at all, actually, to be honest with you, Troy. We can talk afterwards. Um, so, I need to have dealers that just keep the gear in stock because it's just a big fire drill when it's hard for guys to stock stuff. And I'm not blaming my dealers. They're all great guys and they're really cool, but these guys are all hurting for cash like we all are. Everybody is hurting. So it's tough for them to keep a lot of expensive gear in stock. So that's why I say go out and support your local boutique dealer, your mom and pop store. See what you think. But anyway, yeah. Troy, we can hook you up soon. The 22nd is just next week, though, isn't it? So I'm not sure. It seems unlikely to me. Um, so anyway, that's it. What else is on your mind? Yeah, I mean, and plus NAMM is just the hugest pain in the ass. Um, and I enjoy it, but the thing that made it sort of cool was that we were splitting the costs. We usually do it with Niall McGaw, from Solid Cables, and that works pretty well. And Niall's a great guy, but we need a big booth for our sound room. We have to rent 4 spaces that are $27.50 a piece just for the floor space, and then the electricity and carpet is like another $1,000. And then I have to pay their union guys to move our gear in. That's usually another $1,000. And then there's a hotel for everybody for the weekend. That's another couple $1,000, including food and stuff like that. We have to rent a truck. We do our party, which is, our share of that is several $1,000s. And by the time it's all said and done, I've spent 20 grand. And when I do this show and I put a little promote thing on it for $30, it'll reach 100,000 people. So, I mean, it's weird. The market for boutique amps is changing, and the sellers, the marketeurs, the people that are doing the business are changing. Some places for the better, sometimes not. It's just getting harder and harder for guys to hang on with high-end gear, and there's still a demand for high-end gear, and that's the weird thing. So that becomes the question, how do you do that? I've had a lot of people say, why don't you just sell direct? I could do that. I could reduce my dealers, keep the big dealers and sell for the same price as the dealers do. You could just get them quicker if you wanted to get one through a dealer. But it's a weird market we're in. We're selling luxury goods. NAMM is not a luxury good trade show. Both weird and interesting at the same time. All right. NAMM's a great social event, and there's a lot of press there and all that stuff. But most of my competitors in the high-end spectrum of boutique amps don't go. We've always been the anomaly by doing it. And to be honest with you, it's a lot of freaking money. Like when we first started doing NAMM, a booth was like, the very first one we bought was $975 for a one space thing. Now that one space is $2,750. It's arguable, I guess is the way to put it. I could argue either side of the coin. Right now I'm leaning towards not going just because I don't want to spend the money, and our order board's full. And we did a price increase, and that didn't seem to really scare people off. We're going to trim down the line probably because there's some stuff that's not really selling much anymore. We'll still make it upon request, but we're not going to ask dealers to stock it. But Joe, you're coming to NAMM, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I would rather go to NAMM as a guest and maybe just walk around. It's really brutal. We do a ton of press, and it's really good. Last year, I did 34 interviews. And there's some really strong opinions about NAMM, for and against. But, I mean, you look at the guys that are selling top-end amplifiers. They're not at NAMM. That's not my customer. And I found all the good dealers in the country. I got them. And, we've been doing the Musician's Friend and Sam Ash thing. for the people that aren't close to a good dealer. My dealers still have a protected area. We worked out a map with musicians friends, so. But and musicians friends selling amps hand over fist. I mean, they're moving a lot of gear. And I get a lot of people writing in going, you know what? I wasn't a Guitar Center guy. I wasn't a musician's friend guy. But to be honest with you, they treated me great. I got the amp the next day or that week. They had it in stock. They have the 30-day return policy. It's sort of, and it's the same price. They don't sell it any cheaper. As a matter of fact, the Platinum rooms, we have 2 Platinum rooms in Nashville and New York. They sell our gear for $100 above list price, and they still sell them like crazy. So, it's a weird market these days. It's really changing. It's really changing. How many of you guys are going to go to NAMM, or how many of you guys care about NAMM? Do you care about it at all? No? You watch it. You watch it on the internet. Is it interesting to you at all? Just the videos. You're in England. Yeah, of course. Sorry. I mean, I never really thought of NAMM as being that interesting. Trade shows to me in generally aren't that interesting. But until I got into this business, and then I went, oh, I guess, that's where you get to meet a lot of dealers. We have a lot of dealers. And my existing dealers want to see me, but they're all, NAMM's here in LA. They can all come over to my store, over to my shop. So I don't know. I'm up in the air. Your input would be most welcome. I would really like to, do what's right for the company. And I'm not sure that going to NAMM's what's right for the company right now. Our boutique guys are doing a great job, but man, it's hard for them. There are signs of economic recovery going on, but it hadn't really hit MI yet. Detroit's selling a lot of cars, thank God. But MI business is rough. It's really rough. It's very bruising. I enjoy it. I love it nonetheless, but I won't kid you and say it's a walk in the park. We barely make any money on this. There's a lot of parallels here to being a working musician, says Sammy Packle. Things are changing. We adapt. It's really not to get wound up about anymore, Yeah, thank you for that, Sammy. I think you're right. We do it because we love it. As many of you know, too, I'm trying to build a tube factory as well, and that's going to take up some of my time. And we have a pretty robust line of amps, and I'm going to redo a lot of amps with this low voltage, high current sort of situation. But so there'll be another round through those over the next few years. And we're also offering some Redline stuff. I need to be talking about this. We're going to start offering a few of our amps in the Redline because our price increase I felt bad about. So I thought, well, let's offer the same amps in the Redline as well. So now you can buy a Redline Soho, a Redline Tupelo, and a Redline Elvis, and a Redline Monterey if you want. And I don't have the pricing in front of me, but it's about $1,000 less than the new pricing of our Blue Line stuff. Just because there's no money, man. Everyone's choking. Everybody wants the... King Darko makes a good comment here. I've gotten more info about your amps here than I did with the NAMM videos. Yeah, cool. Thank you. That's right. Hey, Eric Yar, how are you? Clifton Bolger says, I go mostly to see with the import gear looks like. Complete amps for less than a good transformer set here. Yeah, that's right. Some of the big companies have amps that cost them under $100 to make. None of my output transformers are under $100. MXX2 just 5. What's the difference between the cosmetics and the transformers? Nothing. It's the same exact amp. It just has machine wound transformers in it and a little simpler aesthetic. It's not going to have the vents. Those cost a lot of money. And the joinery on the cabinet is the same as every other boutique amp. It's going to be the tongue and groove thing, which is what all the high-end boutique guys use. I'm one of the few guys that actually uses dovetail joints on the Blue Line stuff. So it's not like a bargain cheap amp or anything. It's actually standard grade boutique stuff. It's just not crazy and dressy like our Blue Line is. What's the tonal difference? Not much. They're just different. They act differently. A machine wound transformer has a higher Q factor, so there's more capacitance to it, and that gives it a different sound. Better or worse is subjective. Certainly cheaper because the machine just winds it up really quick instead of a person cranking it and guiding it with his hand. So the labor cost is nominal. A lot of your favorite amps have machine wound transformers. Almost all of the boutique amps have machine wound transformers, with a couple of exceptions. And they sound great. There's nothing wrong with machine wound. I prefer hand wound because you can make them a little more sophisticated and elegant. But there's nothing wrong with a machine wound transformer. I mean, Marshall's, everything, it's all been machine wound. The last hand wound transformer that Marshall used was on the JTM 45, and that was their radio spares one. Vox, those were hand wound up through mid 65. All the Woden transformers were hand wound, and they switched to Parmicos, which were machine wound. The machine wound stuff can be a little brighter. They saturate a little more. They get a little more compression to them. Partridges are machine wound. Yep. So it's not a bad word. It just costs different, So on the Redline, we're going to do all that stuff. You can get a Redline Soho, Redline Monterey, Redline Tupelo, Redline Elvis. I'm even thinking about doing a Redline Empire. Well, thanks, King Darko. I mean, I'm just trying to not be full of shit here. So many guys are going to spin you and turn you around, and that's not. I'm just telling you the truth. It is what it is. It is weird that I think like the Redline 212 with two 12H30 is better than the Blue Line. Yeah, I mean our Redline 212 cabinet's great. There's nothing wrong with it at all. It's just different than our Blue Line. They both have a purpose, and it is fatter sounding because of those joints. Dovetail joints will make the cabinet sound really crisp. So if you're playing on stage with a lot of members of your band, you want something crisper. If you're the only guitar player or you're playing by yourself, then the fatter cabinet sounds bigger. The dovetail cabinet's going to cut a little more. It's not shrill at all. It's very musical, but it's just different vibe altogether. So anyway, on that note, I think I'm going to go get some lunch because Danny tired, Danny starving. It's always so fun to sit here and talk to you guys. I sincerely appreciate it. Paul, I am doing the t-shirts and mugs and stuff, I swear. I swear, we're just buried, and I'm behind on everything, and I just want to go to sleep. But, thank you, MixX Stooges 5. I forgot what your real name is. Yeah, you need a t-shirt. Okay, no drama. It's okay. Yeah, drama's fine. Have yourself a good one. Going anywhere special? No, I got a meeting. A guy's coming over here, and we're going to have lunch. Nothing good. Thank you, Troy. It's always nice to see you. Yeah, we'll get some shirts. I mean, I have literally an entire folder in my email of probably 500 people that say, I will buy a shirt as soon as you make them. Somebody want to finance a shirt run for me? I'll split the profits with you. Hey, Frank, I didn't know you were here. Good to see you. If somebody wants to put up $700-800 for a run of shirts, I'll split the profits with you. How about that? If you want to do that. And then also, before I go, Peter Stroud is going to be at Gear Music in Toronto, November 2nd, doing a clinic. Then if you're going to be anywhere in Canada, in that neck of the woods over in eastern Canada, and you want to drive to Toronto, they are in Oakville, Toronto, November 2nd. Peter will be there doing a 65 clinic. So come and check us out. Anyway, on that note, today is October 17th. My name's Dan Boul. I'm president of 65 Amps. And I've been honored today to show you the new Producer 6L. So thank you again for your time. I'll probably play it again next week just because I want to, stay focused on it. But I think it's ready to go. So go out and order them. Please. Order some amps. $3,600. Well worth it. Money well spent. So thank you again, guys. And we will talk very, very... Where's my mouse? There it is. We will talk very, very soon. And take care.